Hello there and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I want to have a look at the Haida, the G63, which is the Royal Navy premium destroyer. Here it is, battle rating 4.3 like all the other premium destroyers for the Americans, the Germans, the Soviet Union and of course the British one. It's a beautiful ship. Just look at the gorgeous 3D model, the paint job. And I absolutely have a special place in my heart for, beautiful 3D models of War Thunder, and this is no exception. Now, the Haida is nicknamed the Fightiest. It is a Canadian ship, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, it's really great, but it is not extremely outstanding. I have the stats in a raw comparison for you. Stats do not always tell you everything, and so obviously we have to talk about certain things. So if this ship is worth it or not is up to you. Currently, as of this moment, ships for the three nations, the Americans, the Germans and the Soviet Union, are for free, so you can research them by yourself without having to spend money on the game. The British have found their introduction into War Thunder with the Royal Navy this patch, so obviously they are quote-unquote in the closed beta, and therefore you either go through a marathon, if I'm not mistaken, or you buy yourself the package. And I think the Haida is a really nice ship. I really like it, and the speciality of it is that it has 4 barrels of its 120mm guns facing forward, giving it by far the best DPM, if you wanna interpret it like this, forward, which is an advantage in single firing and in head-on fight versus another destroyer. As we'll see later on, all the other destroyers in the game, the premium destroyers at least, only have 2 guns facing forward. They might have a higher rate of fire, but you have double the guns. So the stats I have later for you. Let's have a quick look at what the ship is made of. Overall we have 6 guns, so this 102mm Mark 19 mounting is an anti-aircraft gun, but without any sort of burst charge, so just with HE or AP as secondary. Then we have some quadruple 40mm pom-poms, some 20mm and a single quadruple torpedo launcher, and we have even some funny depth charges that launch to the side. So this is kind of funny in close passes, that you drop this on the deck of another destroyer. Like it has not happened to me, but I always was thinking like this, or if a patrol boat comes too close, it's something funny. So there is anti-aircraft firepower, we have some torpedoes, although torpedoes not being the most efficient weapon currently in War Thunder in a destroyer versus destroyer fight. Armor, well, just around the turrets, 3.2mm, with the cast homogeneous armor being 15mm, so not a lot of armor. X-ray, the ammo rack is huge though. From the front, if you want to go bow in, there is always the risk that an AP shot goes in there and detonates your entire ship. I have not survived a single ammo rack detonation. The same goes for the rear, although the ammo rack being much more flat, but therefore longer. So yeah, pretty spacey. And I want to show you just one battle where I talk then about the stats to show you what the ship can do. It's a bit of a shorter video, I hope you don't mind. So let's go right into it. So here we are on the Armament Sea, and my plan is to actually go and seal club some patrol boats, because this is what Gaijin seems us to do, or seems want us to do. Yeah, beautiful broadside here, because we have 6 guns, which is the most out of all the destroyers, but we have to pay for this with the lowest caliber, although that being not that important. So we have 1200 rounds in total, which is double what we have on the Stroini or the Carl Galster, but not as much as on the USS Cowell. The question is, do you need as much ammunition? The answer is not really. I think what the Carl Galster has is usually enough for a battle. The reload, on the other hand, is the second longest, but still a full second faster than the Stroini. Add to this the amount of guns, and your overall DPM, shells per minute, with 72 is acceptable, let's put it that way. But you have to see it like this: very often you just sail towards the enemy, or you face something head on, like a patrol boat, as we'll see in this battle, or another destroyer if you come through a canyon or around an island, and then you have 4 guns on the front, which is, well, double what all the other destroyers have facing forward. Also the firing angle on the back turret are nothing bad. Add to this that we have a decent turret rotation speed. The handling of the ship overall is really nice. Coming to the torpedoes, and we have the same caliber with 533 millimeters like all the others, but we only have 4 of them, and there is actually an error in the color coding. It is actually not very good to have only 4. On the other hand, you don't get as often ammo wrecked by somebody hitting your torpedo tubes with a big HE shell, which actually can happen. So in this respect, I think you can see it like an advantage. Yeah. The range is 7,320 meters. That is significantly more than the PR-7U Stroini, but compared to the other ones with nearly 14 kilometers, yeah, that's not a lot. On the other hand, you don't want to spam them at long range into the enemy's destroyer spam. They are more like a last resort weapon in close quarters to finish off an enemy, to, you know, do a suicide attack, or, you know, with your dying breath to get the torpedoes off if you know that you're about to die. And the speed is fairly decent, 73 kilometers per hour. 81 is the best that the Stroini has. And the displacement of the ship itself, well, it is kind of on the lighter end with 2,519 tons, just a bit more than the Stroini. The top speed is again fairly average, 67 kilometers per hour, with a total crew of 293, of which 206 with an ace crew you actually can lose before the ship goes down. So the stats look fairly average, good in one aspect, not so good in another one, but effectively in the battle it really feels great. The ship can do a lot of things, it's fast, it's maneuverable, and I think all the premium destroyers are excellent. Okay, with the Stroini it's kind of debatable, but that has kind of its own special flavor. Now, it is always very risky to go into a gun battle with a Z20 or a USS Cowell, because mostly it is decided who hits the ammo rack of the enemy destroyer first. And that is also a lot of micromanagement. But you have an advantage with the Z20 compared to the Z20 because you have actually faster turret rotation speed, so you can react faster, and you have also 4 guns, so even if you have a kind of, you know, dispersion of the shells, you have twice the likeliness of hitting your target. This is not to be underestimated, and the special flavor of this destroyer. Here you can see I am actually going here into the B cap already and decap it with the intention to obviously cap it. There are some tracers coming my way, and I think then I will pop some smoke here to hide at least my sides. And I'm already harassing here the enemy patrol boats. Now, to get the things straight, I do not really support this kind of gameplay. The matter of a fact is, if you don't do it, you are the stupid. Because in the worst case scenario, you end up versus a light cruiser, and there is not that much that you can do, and you will end up being dead fairly quickly. All the other destroyers are harassing the patrol boats, so you have to support your patrol boats in order to harass the harassing destroyers. However you wanna call it, it is so important to go and secure A and B for your team, help winning them, trying to fight off the enemy's attack with their hordes of patrol boats. I kind of feel sorry here, but this is currently how it's done. And again, I am actually in for a rework of the map design, the map structure. I cannot wait for mines to get into the game to make it more difficult for destroyers to harass your patrol boats. But certain other ships also have no place fighting patrol boats, and some of them are actually registered as patrol boats. Here you can see the maneuverability and the acceleration. It's really great. It's not as clumsy as the Z20 in this respect, but the Z20 is an odd fish, to be honest. Yeah, and there we are, just harassing the patrol boats. Again, the overall amount of shells that you have, the dispersion, they're really great. And I cannot really say that I miss damage output on the lower caliber guns, because they are not that much lower. 120mm HE shell compared to 130mm HE shell. 4 versus 6 DPM, actually hitting the opponents, hitting the right spot, switching ammunition at the right time. This is more important in my opinion than just a pure kind of gun caliber. Now what I found is that the ammo rack is really the big problem, because it invites you to get ammo racked. While it is also the same with other destroyers, I think with this one it's particularly noticeable, and in this case I'm not quite sure if this is now a plus or a minus in the overall if you want to go bow in. Because as I said now multiple times, this is the speciality of the Haida, this is the speciality of this kind of destroyer, to be able to not expose your full broadside, in particular versus ships that have only HE or are, you know, sticking to firing HE. This is very powerful because they can, you know, saturate your nose, but they cannot hit your ammo rack. At least not directly. They have to shoot the side at a very special angle, and it's strange at times, but you then have again the forward firing power of the 4 guns. So always remember this. But versus another destroyer, especially the other premium ones, the Cowell, the Z20, the Stroini, they like to fire AP now and then. And then if you go into this kind of duel, this might be even a disadvantage. But thanks to your turret rotation speed, thanks to your maneuverability, which I demonstrate here because I nearly ran into torpedoes, swing the back around, there we go, death avoided. Feels healthy, man. So yeah, now I have to say I need to go into A and see how it's going. I was very lucky in this battle that I only had to face patrol boats. Now when you then later on look at the income, when you look at the amount of silver lines and RP that you gain, you have to remember you get more if you destroy a bigger ship of higher battle rating. So what I here had destroyed were numerous patrol boats. And how can patrol boats actually fight against you? Well, very often people say, well, patrol boats have absolutely no chance. A lot of patrol boats are very inferior to you, and to be honest, this is how it's done. This is why you build a destroyer and not a patrol boat. But if such a ship is going bow in, it's very easy to actually hit the guns, because the double mounting has the disadvantage of the turrets being wider. And so if you have a 40mm Bofors of any kind, load the armor piercing, even the 20mm, and you can knock out the turrets, then close in for a torpedo run or some depth charges from if you go to the bow and then drop it under the turrets. This might actually render this ship combat ineffective. To be more precise, it gets blown up. Also, a good old torpedo into the side of the ship will do as well. And it doesn't have the proximity fuse of the Cowell, so it cannot defend itself that awesome against aircraft, although with a decent crew it does the job as well. But if somebody wants your guts and makes a torpedo run or bombing run or a suicide attack with just dropping the bomb at the very last moment, then this ship is a bit vulnerable to it as well. Overall, in the package, I think this ship is really cool. It's really great. I love to play it. I get decent research progress in it. My KD is really great and I can fight enemy destroyers, but it's not overpowered in any way, shape or form compared to the other premium destroyers, although they being very excellent, and it takes a while before you actually reach that kind of status. Now, if you fight another light cruiser, well, you are kind of doomed, so try to avoid this in the first place. We got the Survivor Award, nearly 75,000 silver lines, 10% to it go to the Survivor Award alone, and we got nearly 10,000 vehicle research points, which actually makes a good progress in my research of the Tribal, which is, for all intents and purposes, I think the Tech Tree version. I was second in team with 1990 score points and a lot of ship damage dealt. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you kind of enjoyed this first impressions. Let me know what you think about this destroyer and how iconic it is. Give this video a like if it did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves of War Thunder.